Welcome to today's Explainer. Look, let's jump right into this, because we're looking at a totally fascinating dynamic today. When you hear about Africa and global discussions, it's so easy to just get bogged down by the headlines, right? The focus is almost always heavily weighted toward its socioeconomic problems. But what if that friction, that tension between the perceived challenges and the actual on-the-ground reality is actually hiding massive, completely untapped streams of opportunity? Today, we're exploring a seriously powerful perspective on foreign investment. We're going to break down exactly how external catalysts are literally waking up dormant markets using insights from a deeply compelling analysis.
And to guide us through all of this, we're looking at the work of author and development thinker Oluyomi Ola-David. She brings this incredibly refreshing clarity to the topic. In fact, let me read you this quote from her because it perfectly sets the stage. Deep within Nigeria's and Africa's inundating socioeconomic problems lay streams of opportunities and potential. As we unpack her analysis today, she is absolutely going to be our visionary guide here. She focuses not just on what's broken, she focuses on what is waiting to be built. And her core belief is that if you just know where to look, the opportunities are absolutely staggering. Now, she observes this really critical mindset shift that just has to happen. For a lot of people, the default setting is just bemoaning the challenges, which, as she points out, is really lacking in visionary perspective. It's so easy to get stuck just pointing out the problems, right? But she argues for something totally different, actually seeing those streams of opportunities. By shifting our lens towards socioeconomic strengthening, we stop complaining about the friction and start using it to generate real momentum. It's a total game changer in how we view the continent's economic landscape.
To really help us picture this untapped potential, she uses this fantastic metaphor: sleeping giants. I love this. According to her, Africa isn't some empty void that just needs to be filled. Not at all. It's actually packed with local industries and incredible human potential that are just dormant. They're sleeping. They've got the mass, they've got the power, they've got the capability. They're just waiting to be jolted into action. They literally just need the right external catalyst to wake them up.
Okay, so what exactly is that jolt? Well, the catalyst, as she identifies it, is the inflow of human and financial capital from overseas territories. She makes a super clear argument here. Foreign capital is not just about money changing hands. No, it is the exact spark needed to wake those sleeping giants. When you inject overseas expertise, fresh financial resources, and totally new ways of operating into these dormant markets, the reaction is immediate. It's powerful. It sets local action right into motion.
Section 1. Real-world proof, the telecom effect.
To prove her point, she points to the Nigerian telecommunications sector at the turn of the century as a prime example. So step 1, foreign-owned firms entered the market and expanded the sector's output. They brought in that initial capital and infrastructure. Then step 2 happens, and this is absolutely crucial: knowledge spillover. The local workforce learns the tech, they figure out the business models, and they absorb the expertise, which inevitably leads to step 3. An indigenous telecommunications firm emerges, fully equipped to compete, and claims a huge chunk of the market share. She uses this to prove that foreign investment doesn't just extract, it educates, it empowers, and it ultimately creates really strong local competitors.
And she makes it super clear that this is not just some isolated incident. This proof expands across the whole continent. We're seeing knowledge spillovers resulting directly from foreign presence in the recent development history of places like Rwanda, Madagascar, and Kenya. Across all sorts of different industries, the exact same pattern repeats. Foreign presence acts as the catalyst, that knowledge spills over into the local population, and the sleeping giants of local industry awake and just start to thrive. It's a widespread reality on the ground right now, not just a theoretical model.
Moving right along to Section 2, tapping the untapped sectors.
So, where should we be looking next? She points to 3 specific prime targets for inflows: agriculture, energy, and manufacturing. She describes these areas as largely untapped and just absolutely ripe for foreign direct investment and portfolio inflows. Just think about the sheer scale of the sleeping giants in these 3 spaces. We are talking about vast tracts of arable land, immense traditional and renewable energy potential, and a massive labor force that is ready to build. By directing financial and human capital into these specific funnels, she argues the resulting socioeconomic strengthening is going to be unprecedented.
But it's actually more than just economics for her. It's really about human ingenuity. She firmly believes we can jumpstart creative juices through capital fusion. She has this incredibly enthusiastic belief that when you mix indigenous and foreign capital, and by that she means human, physical, and financial capital, something pretty magical happens. It helps us see entirely new possibilities that neither group could have ever envisioned on their own. It's that exact fusion of local context and external resources that drives true innovation.
And that brings us to Section 3, Shared Global Prosperity.
She vehemently argues that local development isn't just about making Africa wealthier in a vacuum, it directly leads to shared, planet-wide prosperity. It's a completely mutually beneficial endeavor. Think about it. When local economies strengthen, and agriculture, energy, and manufacturing output increase locally, it creates this massive ripple effect. It stabilizes global supply chains, it opens up entirely new global markets, and it creates prosperity that is truly shared throughout the entire global ecosystem.
To bring this thesis home, let's look at her own words again. Win-win cooperation will always make the day, for those who choose global development first before anything else. You can really hear her deep concern for genuine global transformation in that quote, right? She's telling us that if we prioritize global development, if we view these investments as a win-win cooperation rather than a zero-sum game, everyone comes out ahead. Her vision is one where waking the sleeping giants of Africa is recognized as a massive victory for the entire world.
Which leaves us with a really provocative question to think about. Will you choose global development first? When you look at emerging markets, are you going to just bemoan the challenges, or will you see those untapped streams of opportunity? Will you be part of the catalyst? It's an incredibly powerful lens through which to view international investment, and I really hope this explainer has given you a fresh perspective on the immense potential just waiting to be awoken. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.